I would at first like to welcome you all to Odense, and also welcome to you in Agerley and Holstebro and Brønderslev. Today's topics will be my colleague Michael talking about pigs 365, and then afterwards Bjarne from Svinerådgivningen will talk about making the structure and the good routines in the climate stables. Today will be focused on climate pigs, and I guess Michael, you will start and make a small introduction to yourself and your nice product. So we need to learn about data. Okay, welcome.
Hi. For me, this microphone is very far down, but I hope you can hear me. So my name is Michael Agerley. I'm a veterinarian here in Porcus. And today we're going to talk about a new data solution for monitoring pigs after weaning. I don't know how many of you work with pigs after weaning, or mainly it's in the sow herd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the others, they know where the pigs are going when you wean them, I guess. So there's a new data solution out. It's called Pigs 365. So it's basically like Office 365 just for pigs. Why is it interesting to put attention on the pigs after weaning? If we look at producing a pig for slaughter, 85% of the feed cost, which is the biggest cost, is after weaning. So that's where we spend the most money, the biggest investment in the pig. So to have good data on it and good knowledge so we can make the pig grow faster with less food is really good for the economy on the farm. And what options do we have today? I think most of you will have on your farm either cloud farms or Agrosoft. And what you do in those programs is actually after 3 months you make a report, and that report is an average. How did it go as an average for 3 months? But you cannot see, probably in those 3 months it was going good and bad and good and bad. You cannot really see when you get an average. Then there are 2 new solutions out made by the same company, Danish Crown Data and Pigs 365. Those programs use the same data, but they use the data real time. It means every time you wean a pig or move feed in the stable, it's starting to calculate how is the pig performing. So those programs use dynamic data. It means you can see changes already after a few weeks and not wait 3 months for an e-control. And then the last option is you can buy a weight that can weigh the pigs, but it's only in one box. It gives you nice data, but it's a little bit expensive and it's only one box. Or, this is something I did a lot when I was younger and thinner, you can weigh the pigs and calculate how much they're growing. It also gives you very good data, but you have to put an effort into it and you have to do it very structured. So Pigs 365 is made by a company called IQ in a Box, and it's the same company that makes Danish Crown Data. Maybe some of you know it. And as I said, the difference is in a normal e-report, you produce here like a blind man for 3 months, and then you make a report on historical data, and you say, okay, we look into the past. Yeah, I'm not too happy. We have to improve something. But what was good, what was bad, we don't really know. When you use the dynamic data from Pigs 365, you can see every week if it's going better or worse, so you actually have a direction your farm is going in. So for example, here we put in some new feed. We can already see week by week that it's going better. Then we know, okay, maybe it was a little bit more expensive, but we can see the pigs are actually growing better, so it's a motivation. It can also be a change in management. Maybe we start to give wet feed or mixed feed like Bjarne will tell later, and we can see, yeah, they're actually starting to grow better. So we continue to do this extra work because the pigs are growing better. IQ in a Box is a big data company, so what they do is they can extract data from the feed mills, from the slaughterhouses, from the farms, also very soon from us veterinarians. So a lot of the data you need to put in this e-report is actually put in automatically. So you save a lot of time. If we look at the financial potential in changing important KPIs for weaners and finishers, we can see if we make them grow with 100 grams less per kilo growth for 35,000 pigs, we save actually 800,000 crowns per year. If we make them grow 100 grams faster, we also earn around 800,000 more per year. And if there's 1% less debt, it's around 300,000 more per year if we produce 35,000 finishers. So actually to change these KPIs focused through using data, it's very valuable for the farm. If we look at the weaners, 100 grams less per kilo growth, around 300,000 per year, growing 50 grams more per day on average, around 150,000 per year, and 1% less debt, around 140,000 per year. So also in the weaner stable, there's a lot of money to be earned if we can improve our results. So what goes wrong with these normal efficiency reports in cloud farms and Agrosoft is every time we make a new report, we calculate from the last status. So we look at how much feed did we have last time, how much did we use since, and how much we have now. And you do the same on pigs. It often gives you results moving up and down like this. And the problem is that the weight of the pigs is not measured, because then you will have to go and weigh all the pigs. So we don't do that. So we make an estimate. We are guessing a little bit what is the weight of the pig, and this guess is always a little wrong. So for example, we produce for 3 months, and we have made a really good job. The pigs are growing much faster. They also eat more food because they grow more. But we say we use the same weight inside the stable as before, which is not true because they're actually bigger. Then the program it's actually calculating with too little weight, but the food is exact. So it's too much food for too little weight. And then it gives you a wrong number. So sometimes when we make something really, really good, the report actually shows you a bad result. And that's a problem. And those problems you don't have when you work with dynamic programs. This I think we will skip. Here's an example from a farm here on Fyn, where this farm, the pigs were not really growing as they should, and they also ate a little bit too much food. So we started really to put focus on it and make some changes last year, a little bit in August. And we felt we really had some good ideas, and it looked really good in the stable. Then we made the next e-control, and we got really bad results. They ate now 200 grams more per kilo, and they were growing the same. In the stable, it looked really good, but our report was really bad. And I think the farmer also felt it was going good, but when he sees a report that is so bad, you get a little bit stressed. So that's why I have this panic button here. We need to find a new veterinarian or new manager, or something is wrong. We need to fire some people. But then 3 months later, actually we get the good result, because then the calculation fits again. But it's very problematic that we go and do a good change, it looks really good, and then we get bad numbers, because then we can take really stupid decisions. So this farm is also using dynamic data. And this is dynamic data on daily growth. So we could see where we started here, the pigs actually every week looked like they were growing faster and faster. So we had a very good trend. If we then look at what did the Agrosoft report say, well, it was more or less the same. Then after 3 months where we felt this is a good improvement, what did Agrosoft say? No. And then after 6 months, we reached the same number. So this is problematic for making good decisions, and this is the advantage by changing to some of the new programs. You see much faster if you're doing, you get a good impact of your things. If we look at the feed conversion ratio, how much feed they use to grow 1 kilo, we can see there's maybe a general trend down, but when we started, Agrosoft was here. There was probably also a little bit of wrong number, again due to the change in status weight. The next report, it said a horrible number, that it increased so much. And then finally, after 6 months, it goes to the same place. And again, here we can make really bad decisions, because if you look at the financial numbers, with so much food being used, we can maybe stop doing all the good things we did because we get bad numbers from it. So you really see a big difference in using these dynamic numbers that are more exact. Here's from another client. This is from the weaner section. We could see we're actually doing a lot of good things. They were growing faster and faster every week. And suddenly, they started to grow slower and slower and very fast. And actually, we could see that the sow farm had got PRS. So we started to get in sick pigs. We could also see mortality increasing very fast. So here actually Agrosoft hits the same number. The problem is this number in the e-control we get after 3 months. And in the dynamic data we have the number right away. So we can see within weeks it's starting to go the wrong way. We don't have to wait 3 months for a report that maybe is correct. Here's from another farm. They use the PIX 365. This is daily growth. And this is what the e-control is calculating. And what you see here is probably what happens in reality. So we have periods where the pigs are growing really, really fantastic. It could be we're putting in a new feed. Maybe this feed is even a little bit more expensive. So we really want to know if we earn money on this investment. And in the dynamic data, we can see they are really growing better. And then they stop, and then they actually grow worse here. Maybe we change to a cheaper feed. I don't know. But the fact is, if you can see what the pigs are doing, you can also make better decisions. What does the e-control say? More or less the same level. So you don't see all this up and down, so you cannot make a reaction on it. And for sure, if you are buying a new feed and you can see it's just going up, 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 you get a confirmation this is a good decision. It's looking like it's going the right way. And also, it's more interesting to take care of the pigs if we get new numbers every week. This is from a weaner section where the farmer, he had heard that a lot of people put some acid mixes on the water because it can help against diarrhea. And this is his feed conversion. So how much food you need to grow 1 kilo. And he could see as soon as he put it on the water, his weaner started to use less and less food, which is good. So again, maybe he spent 1-2 crowns on this acid, but they now use 100 grams less feed per kilo growth, which has a value of around 8 crowns. So on this investment could be plus 200,000 if they stay down here, of course. But again, you get confirmed right away that this is actually doing something positive. On top of these dynamic data, you can put a program called Insights. What Insights can do is that it can compare many farms at the same time. 500 farm, 1,000 farm, 1,500 farms, you can compare at the same time, which makes it very interesting to see the difference. You can also, if you have a bigger setup, I have some clients, they have, I don't know how many farms now, 25, 30, and they can look at all their farms at the same time, and they can see what is the average on all farms, and then look at different farms and see who's the best and who's the worst. You can also, if you have, for example, an alpha group like here, you can decide, I want to share my farm data with you, and then every time you look into Insights, you can see how it's going on the other farms and how it's going on your farm. And that can be very motivating if you are sharing experiences and advices. Also, you can participate for free in a hit list where you can see how's your farm doing compared to other farms, but of course without farm name and all that, so you participate anonymously. But that's always very motivating to see how's my farm compared maybe to 100 or 200 farms, because nobody wants to be the last farm on the list. And this will update every day, every week. So it's always, when you look at it, it's new. Some new solutions they're working on is putting more sensors into the stables. And there are some test farms that have been running with sensors that measure how much water the pigs are drinking, how fast the feed is running out, and some data from the silo. And with that data alone, they can calculate how the pigs growing on the different feeds. So then we don't have data from day to day, we have it from hour to hour. And then they can, for example, this is a growth curve of the pigs. They can modulate how are they growing on the different feeds in the stable. And the idea is then that they are supervising it, they're looking at it, and they call the farmer if they see something is wrong. And in this test farm, for example, here's an example, they could see the first feed in the weaning stable. The pigs were not really growing. And also the first feed in the fattening stable, the pigs were not really growing. And they changed feeds, actually they changed 5 times, and then they found a feed where the pigs are growing much better. Maybe they also changed some management. And they could also see the first feed in the fattening stable is working much better. And this is actually the same feed as here, but they kept calling the feed mill and said something is wrong, and suddenly it worked much better. So it's a little bit interesting. And it can also be, for example, you have a breakdown in growth, then they call the farmer and said, what are you doing today? I can see the pigs are not growing. I said, oh, I just mixed them all or something. Then they say, stop doing that. And in the farm where they started to do this, actually they, after a year, the farm used 150 crowns less feed per pig from 6 to slaughter, from 6 kilos to slaughter. If we translate that into money per year with 38,000, it's actually 1.5 million crowns less per year. It's an amazing big amount of money for just monitoring the farms, analyzing how the pigs grow, and talking with the people in the stables. So everybody can use these dynamic data in Denmark. There's a lot of money to be earned to have good data to take better decisions. If you deliver pigs to Danish Crown, slaughter pigs, you can use the platform from Danish Crown. If you have a weaning section, or you deliver to Tican or to Dane Pork, you can use the Pigs 365. And to get on, you can call Jysk IT. They're the ones putting people on and showing how to use it. And my last words will be these. There's always a way forward. Questions?
Well, I would say thank you to Michael. This is the future of pig production. Needs to look at more data and more precise data, I think. And also thank you to Michael to catch up with the late start, and now we are on schedule again. Yeah. That was nice. If no questions here and no questions from South, then we will go on, listen to Bjarne from Svinerådgivningen. I guess you will introduce yourself and yeah, enjoy.
Yes, my name is Bjarne Knudsen, and I'm an advisor at a company called Svinerådgivningen. We have our office in Herning and in Vojens, so we work the most part of middle and southern Jutland. And I'm working mainly with growing pigs, piglets and slaughter pigs, and with feed. So that's my background for being here. And I could just add a little bit about Michael's presentations, because about this system, when you have to, not all data goes automatically into this system. You use your phone, you have an app on the phone, and you just type dead pigs and so on, just so that's quite easy actually. And it's also very good that you put in the dead pigs when they die, and not from a note that you have kept in the office for 2 months or something. Okay, I'm going to take you to the nursery stable, to the climate stable, and that's because we have a project called Production Concept Piglets, or Produktionskoncept Smågris. And that's a cooperative project between pig advisors and pig vets and Smågris has also been supporting this to make it work. And I'll show some experience from this project, so we can see how to improve the results in the nursery stables. But to be a little bit provocative from the beginning, I have an impression that people out there in the pig farms, they think everyone can take care of the climber pigs, because we all often see that the ones taking care of the piglets are the last one who has been employed on the farm. The youngest, the most unexperienced, is sent to the climber. Oh, you just go there and take care of the pigs. And there they go, they're working alone, because it's one man's job to do that, and there's no real sparring and no one's coming to inspire the ones working there. And I've heard from some vets also saying that when they go visit you on the farms, then they use 80% of the time in the sow herd, farrowing stable, pregnancy, and so on. And then we just need to go to the climber stable just in the end, and we need to see that. So that's not so good either. And then it was the normal thing. We had zinc in the feed, and we also give medicine to control the diarrhea in this stable. And the results we obtain is about 450 grams of daily gain and 2.5% of mortality or worse, and 1.8 feed units per kilo gain. So that's quite bad results, actually. And we have been seeing that those results have not been improving during the last 10 years, really. Mostly, of course, because the sows, they get more and more piglets, and the space in the climber stable is the same. And we also get more and more piglets at each sow, so we need to make more and more amma sows. And we have no more farrowing pens, so we have to wean the piglets earlier, and that's also a problem when we have to wean the piglets. But then we got this ban for zinc in the feed, and we also have the politicians saying we need to use less antibiotics. So that was the motivation to make this project, to put stronger emphasis on the climber stable to make better results there. So the normal thing about the advisors going to the farm is that the vet is going to visit every month, and he has or she has a lot of good ideas, and they take care of the medicine. And then maybe I'm coming the next week, and I'm putting strong emphasis on feed and so on. And I say, what about this advice from the vet? I do not quite agree. And so we get different advices. So the people out there, you get very frustrated and don't know what to do. So instead of that, we make a team of the advisors. So we get there at the same time to see the pigs, and we agree on what we see and what problems we have, and we also agree on the solutions, so that we all know what are going to do afterwards. And also, not everybody can know everything, so when we are more people there, then we learn from each other, and we all get better. And it gives you a bigger motivation, because we say the same thing, do this, and we make this thing. So we go in the same direction instead of going in different directions. So that's a big advantage of this thing here. Maybe you know this picture there. When you have to take care of your car, then you send it to the workshop, and they have a checklist. And when you get your car back, you can see that you have this list, and there are some dots saying we have taken care of the oil and sprinkler, and we have changed this and this, and we have checked the tires and so on. And this was okay, but this was to be repaired. And we also have this in this project. We have a checklist with more than 100 points, and we go through that to see what's are going to be done correct in the farm and what can we improve. And you don't have to read this, but you could see we have made some notes and marks saying this was okay and this was not okay, and we have to work on that. And we have the main issues on the checklist is we have to do check on what's farm is it, what's the production, what is the breed of the sows, and what kind of feed do we use, and so on. What kind of health status is in the herd, and so on. Then about how we're making the stable ready for moving in pigs. Then we have about the farrowing stable, because the farrowing stable is quite important actually to make the results good in the climber stable. We also have to look at the farrowing stable. And then we have the everyday work procedures, how to improve them, about the feed, and about the vet issues. Then at our common visit, the vet and the pig advisor, then we put up some papers on the wall, and we make a brainstorm saying, what are we going to make better in this herd? And everybody can get in good ideas, and we write them on the wall. And then we see what we are going to do afterwards. And we also make a goal for what results we would like in the future. And there you could see 1.65, that's the feed conversion that we want to obtain. 504, that's the daily gain. 3% is 3% dead. And if we obtain those goals, then there will be 120,000 kroner each year for this improvement. And then we make, we prioritize which of these things we're going to do first. And we're not forgetting the other things, but we focus on the few things and then we do them. And afterwards we can take up some of the other things and work with them and see how the results are. And then the vet, he is also making some extra things to see what kind of diseases do you have in the herd. And he's making some analysis of diarrhea and blood samples and saliva tests and so on. So we get a better impression of what infections we do have in this production. And of course, he is also going to make an improvement of the treatment strategies. And also about this human factor, this thing that everybody is working together is making a team spirit. And so that makes all of us want to make things better. This is about respiratory diseases, both bacteria and virus. And you can see the pigs are having this rope, and that's one of the things you could do to check the status, that we make some saliva tests from these ropes. Then we have a very normal thing to discuss is how do you make the stable ready for moving in pigs. And of course you know that you are going to dry the stable okay before moving in pigs. But here we say we want the floor temperature under the roof to be at least 32 degrees before moving in pigs. So if you have a thermometer, you can go and check, is it 32 degrees or is it not? And if it's not 32 degrees, then you have to improve your drying procedure. And if it's not 32 degrees, there can be several reasons for that. The temperature during the drying process can be too low. It has to be at least 30 degrees when you're drying stable. Unless you don't get all the mist out of the concrete floor. And if you can't obtain 30 degrees, it might be because that your dryer, your heater is too small, or your ventilation is running too fast. If you run 50% of ventilation, then it's not easy to get it warm enough. So then you maybe have to reduce your ventilation to 10 or 15%. You should not put the ventilation totally out, because we have also to get out the mist from the stable. So you need to run the ventilation about 10 or 15%. So then we also often see that there are some problems with the floor heating system. The sensors making the temperature the right way are maybe broken, so they need to be fixed. And also the pump making the water running around in the floor heating system can be broken, or it's not running fast enough. Then you could see here to the right side, you have this paper. You make the notes for the stable, and there you have, you can see from the bottom of this, it says GT, that means floor temperature in Danish, gulvtemperatur. And then he made this floor temperature. In one side of the stable it was 29.5 degrees, and the other side it was 31.8. So in one side it was okay, and in the other side it was not okay. So there he must see why is it not okay, and there might be a problem with the floor heating, for instance. But it's a good thing to have these notes, so we can see when we have finished those pigs and there were problems. That was because the temperature was too low when we were putting in pigs. So we know we have to improve that next time. In this project, we have also somewhere put up some cameras, some surveillance cameras, so we could see how the pigs look like when we are not in the stable. In the middle of the night, it's a problem maybe that the pigs are too cold and we're not there, so we don't know. But we can see at these pictures, it's at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. But in this stable, it is not a problem that the pigs are too cold. You could see here some empty spots here under the roof, and that tells us that actually these pigs are too hot. And this is the first sign that the pigs are going to switch around, so they are going to shit on the floor and lie on the slats. And we don't want that, because when we have shit on the floor, it's also cold, and the pigs can be cold. And then we go from a situation that they are too hot, and then suddenly they are too cold instead. So we need to read those signs here, saying when pigs don't want to lie here under the roof, then it's too hot. So we either lift the roof, or we shut off the floor temperature, the floor heating, or we lower the heat in the whole stable. If we don't do that, then the pigs will turn around and it will get shitty all over, and we don't want that. So this is the first early sign saying that the pigs are not quite comfortable. Of course, we could also see if they were lying in the corner here with their noses into the corner, then they were cold, and we had to look at if the temperature on the floor heating was too low, or the temperature in the stable was too low.
There is also more than 85 pigs here.
Yeah.
I'm just counting 85 or a little bit more. It's around 100 pigs, minus 50. There is not too many pigs in the one field?
Yeah, in this stable, I think over here, they put in more piglets in the beginning, and when they get to 18 kilograms, they take out the biggest ones, because you're right, there are too many pigs all the way to 30 kilos. Yeah. Then another thing that we put much effort into is how we change the feed. We normally use 3 or 4 mixes in the period in the climate stable, and when are we going to change that? Here we have a helping tool I've been making, and here you could see in the blue area here, you could see how many days after putting in the pigs, and you can also see the weekday. In the middle here, you could see what's the weight of the pigs every day for the average pigs. And on each side of that, you could see how are the pigs growing, the smallest and the biggest. And then you could see when it's changing color, then it's time for changing feed. And then you could see in the pens with the average pigs, then you should change from mix 1 to mix 2 after 4 days here in this stable. And you should change from mix 2 to mix 3 after 14 days or 15 days. So you get an idea of when to make this change. And of course, this it can be necessary to change this thing to fine-tune it, but it gives an impression on when you are going to change the feed. This is quite important because there's a lot of money in that. As Michael told you, the biggest cost of raising a pig is the feed. And here I have made some figures from a report, efficiency report in a herd. And we could see here how much feed units do you use from mix 1, 2, and 3, and how many % of the feed units you use on either mix. And is that good or bad? You could see here about 14% of mix 1, 37% here, and about half of the feed units on the last mix. And that makes the total cost of feeding one pig 150 kroner. Here is the goal when we have pigs in at about 6 kilos and out again at 30 kilos. We need to have 10 or 15% of the first mix, so that's okay. 20% in the mix 2, they're using too much of that. And 65 to 70% of mix 3, then they use too little of this. So that means here the amount of mix 1 is almost okay. There's spent too much on mix 2 and too little of mix 3. That makes it, the feeding too expensive. And there's most growth potential in mix 3, so that means also when we're doing this, the pigs, they grow too little, and they also have a bad feed consumption. So if we change this, we can have both a better and a cheaper feeding. So that's a win-win situation we got here. Then they put focus on this, and then we could see that they succeeded even using less mix 1. And mix 2 and 3, that's right on the spot. So that means instead of 150 kroner per pig, it's now 139. So they have saved 11 kroner per pig doing this. And when they have about 40,000 pigs per year, it's more than 400,000 Danish kroner they have saved by putting emphasis on this thing. Then we have the vet. He is also going to use this knowledge about when you change feed out there, because we often see that there can be problems with diarrhea when we change feed. Of course, the feed can be wrong, but it could also be a matter of the treatment strategy. And you could see those pigs we got here, you could see the backbones of them. They are not quite like we want to see them. Also, the hairs are too long, and they are. You could see the back here. It's not growing very well, this pig. So this information is important also for the vet and for the treatment strategy. And of course, diarrhea is a big topic in the climate stable. And we can see here that we got diarrhea. It's very thin and also very gray. And you could also often see when you have diarrhea in the pen that they get dirty on the back. So that's a sign of diarrhea. And then we also have some diarrhea here, and to make the right treatment strategy, you might need to count the diarrhea. How many diarrhea stains do you have in the pen? And then the vet tells you if you have more than 2 stains in each pen, you need to start this treatment. So that's a way of making the treatment the right time and the right thing, yes. And of course, this is a topic that you discuss with your vet, so I will not go deeper into that. Then we could say that antibiotics don't compensate for bad management. You have to do the things right with the piglets. And of course, we have also seen quite a lot during the time since the ban of the zinc that there has been more use of antibiotics, and also there have been more resistant bacteria. So the things we use for treatment suddenly don't work anymore. But if we then put focus on the management to do the right things, then we get more robust pigs, and then we sometimes see that the antibiotics will get back into work. So that's quite good, actually. Then I said before that the big results, the good results in the climate stable, it starts in the farrowing stable. So a very important thing is to make the piglets learn to eat already in the farrowing stable. And we have a goal of 600 grams of dry feed for the piglets in the farrowing stable. And of course that's quite hard to achieve if the pigs are only 3 weeks at weaning. So that means that we have a limited number of pens in the farrowing stable, so that makes us sometimes wean 2 young piglets. But I'll come back to that, how we can make that a little bit better. But we use the same mix in the farrowing stable as we do in the weaner stable, and it can both be dry or it can be soaked. And the soaked feed is about 1 kilo of dry feed to 1 liter of water. So that means it's quite thick, this feed we use. It's no good if we have 1 kilo of dry feed and 3 kilos of water or 3 liters of water. Then the feed will go to the bottom and the water will be on top of it, and then the piglets have to drink all the water before getting to the feed, and that doesn't work. So it's very important if you use this soaked feed that it's only a little water. If you have a milk facility in the farrowing stable, you have to switch it off at least 4 days before weaning, because you have to make these piglets eating dry feed. If they have milk, then they just drink the milk, and they don't want to drink to eat dry feed. And at weaning, at some farms, they take out the sows, for instance, on the Sunday, and then the pigs, they stay in the farrowing pen until Monday morning, because there are not many people at work on Sundays. And then it's very important, if you do that the piglets don't freeze in the farrowing stable until Monday. If they're cold before weaning or before going to the climate stable, then you have given them a very bad start, because the sow is a big issue of the heat production in the farrowing stable, and if you remove all the sows out, then they might be cold. And this about the increased age and weight at weaning, it starts already in the mating stable. Here you have a figure showing how many matings you make each week, and the yellow one are the gilts, and this is the older sows, and the black bar is the average of matings every week, the goal we have for matings, and the red bars is plus and minus 10% of the matings. And you could see here that it's quite unstable how many matings we have every week. Here you could see that we have 3 weeks in a row where there's more than 10% of too many matings. And here you have 5 weeks with too few matings. So, and then you get a problem, you could see the gilts matings are very stable actually. But when you have more weeks with too many matings, then you get a space problem in the farrowing stable when you have they have to wean 2 young pigs to get the places ready for those. So you have to improve on the mating section to get a more stable flow in the sow herd. You can also check the shit to see how old the pigs are actually. You can see here yellow and green and black shit, and that says something about what have these pigs been eating actually. And if you have these yellow and white shits here, then it's a pig who is very young and who has not been eating dry feed. It has only been eating milk. And also the structure of the shit here. If you have this one looking like goat's shit, then they have been drinking too little water. But if you have a lot of these, then it's a sign of your piglets are quite young at weaning and have been eating too little dry feed. Then one main problem in the climber stable that makes the piglets grow too little is that they eat too little. If they eat too little, then they grow too little. So it's as simple as that. And I have a goal saying that we need those piglets from 6 to 30 kilo to eat 0.85 feed units each day. If they eat less, then they grow less. And if we want them to grow more than 500 grams, we need to have this figure here. And what can we do to make the piglets eat more? My experience is when I get into a stable, the pigs, they are just sleeping and nothing is happening. There's a lot of feed in the feeder and the pigs are just lying there sleeping. And then when I get, and we are starting talking to the pig caretakers in the stable, then the piglets suddenly wake up and they raise up and they get out in the pen and then they start to drink water and to eat feed. And if I take a handful of feed out of the feeder and throw it on the floor, they just go there immediately starting to eat. So my point here is that it's too boring in the climber stable. That's happening too little. So just get in there, make some noise. That makes the piglets raise up and start to eat. And of course, when you are there, you can make some things to make things better. Again, this soaked feed with as the same as I need, as I told you before. 4 times daily the first week or so, that's give the piglets a really good start. You can also combine it with feeding on the floor, because piglets, they're used to eating all at the same time when they are at their mother, the sow. She's calling them to get to the udder and they eat the same time. And if you can take that to the climber stable also, when you throw things, you throw feed on the floor, then they can eat everybody. And also when you give this soaked feed. So make some activity in the climber stable. That's a way of making them eating more. Then you have this water system in some pig nursery stables. And you can see behind it, there's a pig. We have just making this thing run, and then you could see the pigs, they start to get curious, what's happening here? So this little thing about this water dripping, it's attracting the pigs to go there and starting to drink, because if we want the pigs to drink much, they also have eat much, they also have to drink much. So if you have this system, then start using it. I've seen a lot of places where they have this system, but they don't use it because it's a little bit difficult to make the water run in a proper manner. If you open too much, then it's running too fast, of course. So it takes a little bit of adjustment to make this run in the right speed. But water is a very, very important thing to make piglets grow. Then you could also give electrolyte in the feeder. You could see here he's just pouring electrolyte in the feeder. And then the piglets are totally crazy by drinking this. Don't give too much, but it makes the pigs go to the feeder. And then when they just around the feeder, then they also They just push to the mill there, and then suddenly some feed comes out, and they learn to use the feeder in that way. Then adjustment of feeder is also a very important thing. You could see here that the feeder on the left, there's quite a lot of feed and a lot of feed waste, and the one to the right, there's not very much feed, but you could see the adjustment is almost the same. So don't look at the lever here, but just look at the trough instead, because they tell you what to do. So they should be adjusted differently, those two feeders here. So not the scale is important, the troughs are important. When you have small piglets, they have to be quite open because they are not very strong, so it's not very easy for them to get out the feed, so it should be easy for them. But the bigger pigs, they should work more to get out the feed to prevent feed waste. And if you see in the red box over there, you might see that there's quite a mountain in the slurry of feed, and that's of course quite expensive to put the feed in the slurry. But yeah, bigger piglets must work a little harder, but still it should also be easy for them to get out the feed. And this regulation should be done every day or more times every day. When you get passed by a feeder which is wrong, you just turn it a little bit up or down. Here I have an example of one of my herds, and you could see this first period, don't pay much attention to that. It's only 1 month. It's quite uncertain, these figures. But if you see, this is the daily feed intake, and it's only about 0.6 feed units per day. That's far away from the 0.85 I told you before. And that means that those piglets are growing too slow, below 450 grams per day. So what is going on in this herd? You can see the feed conversion is actually quite good, about 1.6 feed units per kilo gain, so that's okay actually. So I think the main problem here is that the pigs eat too little. If we could make them eat more, then they would grow more. And here you could see they have a scale, and we could see here in the first period they're actually following the speed of the standard curve. So the first 1.5 weeks, they grow okay. And this period, they give soaked feed in some long troughs in the stable. So that's quite good, it seems. But after that, you could see they lose the battle there. They have a very low daily gain the next week, and here they're starting to only get feed from the feeder. Then you can see the small dots here at the bottom. That's the remarks they have made in the herd, and so we can see what has been going on. And this first dot is that we had lack of soy protein concentrate there, so that's of course bad, because then the feed is not correct. And here they had no water. That's also quite bad, of course, and that's of course a factor here making the gain slow down. Here we have a feed change, and it seems like it was okay. They actually grow a little better after this feed change. And here we have starting medicine. So we can see here that the first 1.5 weeks, they grow quite well. Then they start to lose momentum, and after that, they start to grow again. And if we have a picture from older pigs, you could see that in the end, they grow quite fast, but they have lost here during the week 2 to 4, they have lost it. So we need to put stronger focus to that. So there has been too many feeding errors, and that should also be fixed, of course. And I think they have too strong focus on down regulations of the feeders. So it's too difficult for the piglets to get out the feed. Then I have some results from one of my herds. They have approximately 1,000 sows with 38,000 produced piglets per year. They have 12 pens in each section, and they put 60 pens in each pen, and then they are sorting out at 18 kilos because this is actually too many pigs in the end. They had quite a problem with streptococcus in the beginning, and then they have an employee who had, he drank a little too much beer and so on, so he was not that quite good. But they managed to get a new worker before the next visit, so I think that was quite good, actually. Here you can see a picture from the stable. They have refurbished the stable before we started this project. They have new housing, new roofs, new feeders, and they also put new slats in. They had concrete slats before, now they had plastic slats instead, and that makes the hygiene much better in the stable. Concrete slats, it's quite a problem with piglets. You get bad hygiene if you have that. Here you have the results before we started the project, about 480 grams of daily gain. You could see the feed intake was actually quite okay, but they grow too slow, and then the feed conversion also was too bad, and they have a mortality about 3.2%. And the mortality, the goals were this, as I showed you before. They wanted to improve mainly the feed consumption, a little improvement of the daily gain, but the mortality, he said 3% is actually okay, because I don't want to export bad pigs to my slaughter stables. Then I would prefer them to die in the climate stable instead. And yeah, we have this 120,000 kroner. And some results, you could see the first periods after we started, we get a small improvement in the daily gain, and actually we reached our goal quite fast. But they had to make a treatment during the first week. When they took out the zinc, the piglets didn't die from diarrhea, but they got uneven. So some of them got quite good over it, and some were quite affected by diarrhea, and they were too uneven. So they put this medicine the first week, and then the pigs were more even. The feed conversion, it didn't go that well. You could see that made it go worse and worse. And you could see here at the fourth quarter, they had quite a lot of daily feed intake. So maybe there was feed waste. And actually, when we were in the stable, we could see that there were feed waste at the big piglets. The feeders were too open, and they took out too much feed there. So that was one of the focus, that they should be more hard on working with the regulation of the feeders at the big piglets. And then they should also work with how to change feed, or when to change feed. This is actually the example I showed you before, that they should use more of mix 3 actually. And then we have the 2 next quarters. You could see the daily gain, it's improving a little bit again. And now the feed consumption, the feed conversion is going better. And you can also see here the mortality is actually also improved a lot. And I think we could thank this new worker for that, because he was quite good at spotting the pigs with problems and giving them a treatment. So he's very good at that. So is this actual for you? Maybe it is. What we can see is that when we form this team of advisors, we can create some results. But it's no quick fix. It's not that we just are doing those 5 things and then everything is okay. We get some structure on the management, but it can be a long-term challenge we need that we have. And sometimes we also see setbacks. things are going worse in a period, and then we have to see if we have to adjust the strategy. And then the vet, he's coming every month. He can be the one delivering a pep talk, so you keep to the right things you have to do. So that's and keeping up the motivation to make this effort. And here you can see the advisors working on this thing, and of course your vet here in Porcus is also working on this. Yes. Any questions?
What do you think, like, for example, you're talking about the mix 1, 2, and 3, yes?
Yes.
And we should choose them in the good time and change it in the good time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about to mix it together in the time when you started to change the food from 1 to 2 or from the 2 to 3 to give it the medicine? For example, we have the feed number 1. And do you think like 25% of the pigs have the diarrhea, not 50, that you need to give it? And do you know that you will be tomorrow started to give it the feed number 2?
Yeah.
And in this time you will be giving like sleeper or neomate, or you will be waiting until you give it 2 days second food, and after if you have more diarrhea, you will be starting to give it.
I will not, if the pigs have diarrhea, I will not start to change feed in the same period.
But for example, you don't have so many diarrhea, and you know in the future, for the couple of days, you have more diarrhea for your experience than you have it before. And for don't have it much diarrhea in the stable, you will be giving the medicine in the same time when you change the food for give it less stress for the pigs, or you will be don't give it. If I would give medicine or I don't quite understand. The pigs when they change the food from the 1 to 2, they also have a little bit stress.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
You will be given the medicine in this time if you have some problem of the diarrhea for in the future for making the less problem of the stress for the pigs and also less diarrhea in the future. You will be given the medicine in the same time when you are changing the food for making the less trouble in the future.
Yeah, that might be a strategy, but also about you could also, if you have possibilities of making this change of feed over more days, it's also quite, especially from mix 1 to mix 2, it could be a very good thing if you are not changing from one day to another.
Yes,
yeah.
And also you give it the medicine not 1 day. The medicine give it 3 or 4 days, or now we need to give it 7 days, for example.
Yeah, it's also for the vet to say, I think, but I think 1 day of medicine will be, in most cases, will be too little. Well, I'm just, I think you are better on that.
I think I understand your question. Your question is, do you want to medicate right away or wait until after the feed change, no?
Yes, because you know, when you change the food, you will have much more trouble later. And
so I agree, but I'm speaking what Bjarne said. In general, we need to have the pigs ready on the feed it is on. So you're mixing on 1, we want the diarrhea to be gone, so the stomach is healthy and ready for next step, you know?
Okay, you want to give the medicine before you start the mix number 2?
Yes, because we have, the diarrhea is a symptom that we have some inflammation in the intestine. So maybe it's only 20%, but maybe the feed change may be 40%, you know?
Yes.
So in general, let's say we take 1 step, we want to have a nice shit again, then they're ready for taking the next step, you know? And if you can change the feed like you're doing, mix it, it helps. It's not so difficult. Yeah.
And another thing, of course, if you have a problem with diarrhea on mix 1, you also will improve that mix by less protein, acid in the feed and on the drinking water, and maybe also if you have the possibility of making a more rough structure of the feed, that could also help not to have so much diarrhea.
Okay, and also second question, I can see in the picture you will write that we need to give some extra food, and also for example you saw the picture where you have a cup with extra food. For your opinion, if the extra cup is better than give just food on the floor, because I know in the cup and also with the iron cup, The pigs would like to eat it, but also the pig would like to go to the toilet in this scar, and also start to eat it together with the shit. And sometimes it's even give it a bit worse results than just give it on the floor. What do you think?
Yeah, it's very important if you want to use this trough for this soaked feed. It's very important, and I didn't tell before, but it's very important that they eat this amount of feed within half an hour or so. So that means they have to eat everything so they don't shit on top of the feed left. And of course, if you have too much feed in this trough, it will also very fast turn into something very unpleasant, because it's quite a high temperature you have in the stable. So this feed should be eaten within half an hour, and then you also have less problems of them shitting in it. And then you could clean it if they shit in it.
Okay.
It's better to give a little bit of feed in the trough and then give some more again later, instead of giving a lot of feed and then they don't eat it.
Yeah, but if you give it, they will be eaten, and after you start to give it again, but they will be shit down there. You need to get it out, clean it, wash it, and put it again, and put it again. If you have this stable with the 100 cups like this one.
I also think feeding on the floor with dry feed is also good. So I think you should, Mac, you can do both actually. Maybe, and if you think this is you cannot make it through 100 pens or so, then I would prefer then you give the soaked feed for the smallest ones.
Yeah.
For the 20% of smallest ones, and then you give floor feeding for the rest of them.
I also can see the picture with the water. You write that we need to, it's a little liquid the water for the pigs, that they will be interested or they eat it. What do you think? In the first 2 weeks, when we are having the pigs from the Frauweinigen to the Klima stable, that it will be not so good idea to put the extension and they put in manual water. But because they are so small, they didn't understand how they need to drink it and also use the cup. Maybe it will be good idea or not good idea to give it manual water with a pipe, like so they each clean 1 pint per day, fill up, just all the feed truck, fill with the water.
I think it's a good idea with the water, but of course, if you could use this electrolyte, I think you could also make the piglets drink more actually, because it's tasty for them.
Okay, but about electrolytes, how will we wash the stable? Or is it take it out after? You use electrolytes for interesting, for much more drinking, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. What about the wash table? Western.
Yeah.
What about this one? About water, about everything? How is it connected? Is it electricity? Of course.
No, it's. I think you have to mix it. You have to mix it separately and put it in the bucket.
Yeah. You cannot put the electrolyte through the pipes.
You have to remember, but I think these things, like especially with the soap feed and electrolyte, it's the first 3 to 5 days.
Yes.
That's where the pig is coming from the tip of the start, milk 16 times per day. The first 3 to 5 days is where you really get a good benefit to help it, because it's a little bit confused and stupid. Fresh food very often, electrolytes.
Yeah.
The first 3 to 5 days you get very good return of your investment. So we can do it manually because it's a very critical time.
Yes.
And then it can start better.
Yeah, and the last question, sorry. For example, we with our vet have one stable, but it has a concrete floor. And we use it all the time, the first medicine with the lincospectin, that is shitty don't help it for this kind of the farm. But after, suddenly for one of the day, we have the deal and we change it for nail maid. But it's helping like for 1 second. Lincospectin is almost the same like snail maid. But we use the lincospectin 7 days, but it didn't give it any results at all. But after we use the nail maid, just for example, just for this farm, and it's helping. But for another farm, lincospectin is good. But for this farm, nail maid is good. Why?
Yeah, and that's again a part of this this project is that we make some diagnostics showing which medicine is working in this herd and which is not, and that's also the vet's job to make this so we know what's working here and what's not working, because it might seem like the same medicine, but it worked differently.
Thanks.
Then I would say thank you to Bjarne for a nice presentation. I think the last case you showed up there maybe was an example of the topic that Michael was talking about, this e-control showing a late response on the changes, maybe.
Yeah.
But I would also say sorry to you in Agerley because you did not hear all the questions. We had some nice questions here, but I was not aware of the microphone. Sorry about that down there. It will be better next time. And now I think we will say thank you for today, and hopefully maybe if you want there's a beer or a soda out there we could just have before leaving for home. And this was the last Focus 35 for this year, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.